Aloha friends, it's Robert Stellick with Blue Planet. I'm here on the river in Haleiwa. There's a little bit of background noise from the kids jumping into the river. But in this video, I'm going to summarize the history of stand-up paddleboarding in just 5 minutes. So I'm going to go over some of the earliest examples of recorded history where people were standing up and paddling on watercraft. So fishermen in Ecuador and Peru were some of the earliest stand-up paddlers, possibly around 3,000 years ago. They used reed crafts, tied up reed crafts to go in and out through the surf to go fishing. In Israel, Hasake were used for a long time. There's recorded history from early Roman Empire days of people using the Hasake craft, which are basically a big stand-up paddleboard, big wide board with a double-sided blade. There are also many native tribes that paddled standing up in dugout canoes. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of stand-up surfing, which was basically born on the beaches in Waikiki. When the first hotels opened in Waikiki, the beach boy culture emerged, and beach boys were living on the beach and teaching visitors how to surf. Probably the most famous beach boy of all was Duka Hanamoku. At the time he was alive, he was known as the fastest swimmer alive. He won several gold medals, and he also introduced surfing to California in 1912 and to Australia in 1914. So he was known as the ambassador of Aloha, bringing surfing to people all over the world. And the Duke was also known standing up on a big surfboard in the surf in Waikiki. So in the 1940s, John Sappatoki started stand-up paddling on a big longboard with a custom wooden paddle. And he actually saw the rise of modern stand-up paddle surfing, and he was surfing on a stand-up paddleboard until he was 91 years old. And he passed away recently, but he's definitely one of the pioneers of the sport. Another pioneer is Choi, a beach boy that would stand-up paddle surf with a hard hat and taking pictures of tourists while he's out there on a stand-up paddleboard. Another classic character was Canoe Drummond, who would surf in a canoe in Dana Point, California, and stand up in his canoe with a long paddle and surfing waves. So more recently, Laird Hamilton and Dave Kalama were doing an oxbow photo shoot with big longboards, and they picked up some wooden paddles and started paddling standing up on these longboards. And then they got into it more, and that's kind of how the modern day stand-up paddling began. And that's when the rapid rise of the sport began worldwide. So with more and more people starting to pick up stand-up paddling, in 2003, Brian Carolina added a beach boy surfing division to the Buffalo Big Board contest at Makaha, and that was probably the first contest ever for stand-up paddling. I was lucky enough to be one of the first distributors of stand-up paddleboards here in Hawaii. I was a distributor for Boardworks, and Blue Planet was distributing the C4 Waterman boards. So I was lucky enough to get instructions and learn from some of the pioneers in the sport, such as Brian Carolina, Dave Parmenter, and Todd Bradley, the founders of C4 Waterman. So early on, around 2007 to 2010, the sport grew explosively. There was a lot of people getting into the sport. There was never enough supply. It also started taking off worldwide. Become really popular in Europe and all over the world. And more recently, in 2019, we saw the market leveling off a bit. But then during the pandemic, there was another growth spurt of the sport when people realized it's a great way to exercise while being socially distanced and safe. And here's a bit of bonus trivia. In 2006, the Molokai to Oahu Paddleboard World Championship race added a subdivision. Kevin Horgan won that first race in 7 hours and 23 minutes. Travis Grant set the current world record time of 3:59 in 2017. In 2008, Jerry Lopez and Rainbow Sandals organized the first Battle of the Paddle race with an unprecedented prize purse of $25,000. The maximum board length was 12.6, which created a whole new category of boards. So that's just a brief summary of the history of stand-up paddling. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the Blue Planet Surf YouTube channel down below, and we'll see you on the water. Aloha.